All right, no starting soon screen today. Uh, Let me make sure everything's all set up nice and good. Nice and good, nice and good. All right. All right, I think we are good to go. Sorry guys, let me just make sure that everything's up nice and smooth for me. I feel like that shouldn't be. Motherfucker. Let's get that live. All right. Guess we'll go ahead and start then. Uh-oh, my audio bitrate, what does that mean? Don't know what that means, I don't know what that means. So let me just Jesus, sorry guys, I am freaking well behind on this. Alright. Let me go ahead and start. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Open Matt Show. As always, I'm your host, Matt. And yeah, on this lovely Wednesday, got a good amount I want to talk about. A lot of breaking news in the world of MMA. I mean, not really, not really. Actually, there wasn't too much that has come out, but we got some very, very big news. The alleged fight of the summer was announced. The biggest fight that we've all been waiting for. The announcement we've all been waiting for. Not the White House card, but I'm talking about the return of Ronda Rousey and her taking on Gina Carano. Now, I have my own opinions about that. I'll get to it. We're also going to be talking about the nice little card we got this weekend, UFC, Sean Strickland versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Very fitting demographic matchup there considering recent world events. So I'm pretty excited to get into that. Surprisingly, we've made it halfway through the week without Sean Strickland saying some crazy shit. But again, we'll get to all that. Something else I would like to talk about is Dana White beating up babies with the Zuffa boxing. Hopefully you guys have seen that clip. I was laughing my ass off when I saw that. But yeah, those are kind of the things on the agenda today. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. I apologize for the quality of last episode. It was pretty ass. I'll be honest about that. That's because this bad boy right here. Because of that, I decided to give it a little nibble, give a little suckle on it, but I couldn't handle it. I'm not the big boy that I thought I was. So it was just too much for me, and I'm sure you guys were able to tell during the stream. But I'm holding off on that until after the stream, like I normally do. So that way the quality of this is actually good. That way I finish my thoughts and not forget what the hell I was talking about before I even finish the point. But anyways, I digress. Let me go ahead and start off with what I think is the leading story, in my opinion. Like I said, as of now, Sean Strickland hasn't done anything fucking crazy yet. We'll see. I don't know when the press conference is. I think that's tonight, Wednesday, I believe. So we might be able to live react to that actually. But I want to go ahead and start off with the thing that got the most headlines: Ronda Rousey's return. Now, if you ask any MMA fan this year, do you think Ronda Rousey is going to be coming back? Sorry guys, I'm still setting this up. I had none of this set up. Anyways, you know what? Let me go ahead and fix this too while I'm at it before anybody actually joins. Okay, that's a lot better. Anyways, as I was saying, arguably the biggest news for today is Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. That was announced yesterday. It is going to be on Netflix, which that is pretty big in of itself, and we'll get to that. But in my opinion, the bigger story here is that this is being hosted by MVP, aka Nikisa Badarian, aka Jake Paul. Now, I am very, very curious to see how Dana White reacts to this. Is he gonna big bro it, low bro it? He's gonna be like, we don't do that. He could. It's possible. I just personally, I don't think that's what he's gonna do. Oh my goodness, dude! I got everybody fucking. I got people calling me. Uh, Sorry, guys. I let me mute my phone. Um. Oh, okay. Yeah, Sean Strickland said nobody cares about women's MMA. We're gonna be getting to that for sure. We are gonna be getting to that because I kind of agree, uh, in a sense. Anyways, let me just go ahead and restart. Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano was announced. It's going to be on May 16th, I believe, and is going to be on Netflix in the Intuit Dome, which that's very interesting. The Intuit Dome is very nice. If you recall the UFC event that was there, I'm trying to think who it was, but point is, it's a beautiful stadium. It's a really good place to have an event. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the interesting thing about this. This is being hosted by Jake Paul's slash Nikisa Badarian's most valuable promotions. Now you may be wondering, why is this a big deal? Who really cares? This is Jake Paul slash MVP's first foray into MMA. And as we all know, Jake Paul and Dana White, they haven't always been on each other's good side. And that's okay. That's okay. They don't have to be, right? In fact, dare I say, I think combat is a lot more interesting when there are promoters at each other's throats. And we definitely had a lot of that this week with Dana White, at least. Um, but yeah, for the first step into MMA, having Ronda Rousey in as the main event in your debut, that is fucking huge. I don't care how washed up she is. I don't care who the fuck she's fighting. She could be fighting the dead corpse of Gina Carano. Doesn't fucking matter. The fact that they're gonna have Ronda Rousey, that name plastered on Netflix, quote unquote, for free for anybody who has Netflix, which as we know, Netflix is the streaming platform. Now, maybe not anymore. Personally, I don't really use it that much. There's not that much stuff on there that I like to watch these days. It's not like how it used to be. But we all know Netflix. You know Netflix. I know Netflix. You don't need me to explain it to you. Your mom knows Netflix. Your grandma probably knows Netflix. Everybody knows fucking Netflix. That's a big reason why Jake Paul v. Mike Tyson was huge. A big reason why Crawford Canelo was big too. These Netflix events, they just bring in a casual audience that combat sports hasn't been able to bring in, well, quite frankly, since the Ronda Rousey McGregor era. It's been a long time since we've had eyes on the sport like this. And that's kind of something else I want to talk about later. A lot of people a few months ago said combat is dying, MMA is dying, boxing is dying. But that when people say that, that's how you know who really pays attention to the industry and things like that versus those who don't. Because yeah, there are flat spots, but the writing was on the wall. A lot of crazy shit is going to happen this year. I think combat's going to blow up. But once again, I'm getting off topic. Let me get back to Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey. So everybody made a pretty big deal about this, which, like I said, this is very worthy of a big deal. This is a big, it's a a big fight. It's a big enough fight. Yeah, again, it's nothing crazy, right? This isn't John Jones versus Francis Ngannou a few years ago. It's not that. But like I said, Ronda Rousey was one of the biggest stars. She's easily the biggest star in women MMA, even now. Even now. Nobody has talked about a women's MMA fight this much since Ronda Rousey, which is pretty fucking crazy, especially when you have a two-time gold medalist in Kayla Harrison, an American like that, and you have the legend Amanda Nunes. The buzz that this fight is already getting was like 10 times more than the buzz that the Nunes Harrison fight got. And you don't have to like that, but that's just the fucking truth. If me saying that even gets a rise out of you, then that alone should make you realize that this fight is going to be bigger. It's going to be a lot bigger. But I have to say, there were some D1 Glazers on this topic. Ariel Helwani, New York Rick, Connor Burks, those guys. They were getting, specifically New York Rick slash Eric Jackman. He was getting a lot of shit. He was getting a lot of shit for saying that if I'm the UFC, I need to call McGregor, I need to call John Jones, I need to call all these guys to match this card. And I gotta say, I deeply disagree with that. I I'm surprised to hear a take like that from a guy like New York Rick who's been in the business for a long time. I think it's a very naive take to suggest that this is going to be bigger than the White House card without a McGregor or Jones is just fucking stupid. I gotta say, it's a very boomer take, and everybody on that show was just doubling down on it. But I think they're a little too to kind of see the forest. They're a little too close on the tree to see the forest. Now let me explain. I do think it's going to be a massive fight. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a huge fucking fight. Like I said, the fact that Ronda Rousey, her name is going to be plastered on a poster on Netflix, that alone is going to get a fuck ton of views. Going to be the biggest women's MMA fight of the year easily, and it's going to be one of the bigger MMA cards of the year, even without knowing who's on the undercard and everything, which that's a whole different discussion that I do eventually want to get to. Um, my thing is you don't need a John Jones or a Conor McGregor to beat this. Now I know what you're saying. This is Ronda fucking Rousey, like you said. It's going to be free on Netflix. Everybody's going to click it. Your grandma's going to watch it. And yeah, that is true. But come on. Let's say you put Ilya Taporia versus Justin Gaethje, which I will admit, Ilya isn't as big of a star as Ronda Rousey. That's the truth. He's big, but only amongst MMA fans. Outside of that, he doesn't have the draw like a McGregor did. Hell, like a Khabib/Islam did. I got buddies that don't watch MMA joking about 2 to 3 years Dagestan. They don't know who the fuck Ilya Taporia is. They all know who Ronda Rousey is. But anyways, put Ilya versus Gaethje, main event of the White House. I would agree. Ronda would probably pull in more views, especially if it's free on Netflix. But the reason I disagree so much with New York Rick saying that it's going to be the biggest fight and it's automatically bigger than the White House without John Jones and Conor McGregor is because he's forgetting one massive variable. He is somehow forgetting about the president of the fucking United States, Donald J. Trump. Now, the reason I say that is it may have more clout, may have more momentum going for it right now. Hell, it might even have more momentum going as they announce the White House card, because who knows who they're going to add on the undercard. But the second that stops is the second Trump opens his mouth on this card. Like, to think that he's not going to say anything or he's not going to start talking about it is just dumb. Like, I'm very surprised they overlooked this. Do they really not think as the fight gets closer, he's not going to start selling it? He's not going to start talking about it. He's not going to start talking about the magnificent fights they're going to have on the beautiful South Lawn or front lawn or whatever. Obviously, he is. And once that starts, that's going to pull in a casual audience that people can't even fathom, especially if it's on CBS or Paramount Plus. Unfortunately, the Don does have more drawing power than a Jake Paul, than a Ronda Rousey, than a fucking Gina Carano. So yeah, that's what I think about that. To call it the biggest MMA event of the year, maybe right now it could be, because I can't think of anything on paper scheduled that is bigger. They are correct in that. There is technically nothing bigger right now. But it doesn't matter who they put on the White House card. The fact that the president, one of the most divisive and polarizing presidents of United States history, is going to be talking about it / damn near promoting it. Come on, guys. I'm sorry. Ronda Rousey doesn't have that much pull. And quite frankly, she hasn't for a long time. Now, let me go ahead and talk about the fight itself. Rousey versus Carano. A lot of people, I'm really just talking about Ariel Gang here. And a lot of people on Twitter, they were really hyping up, oh, legendary legends of the generations fighting. But I'm sorry, guys. Majority of fans weren't even around when Ronda was fighting. Majority of fans now, they were not around when Ronda was fighting, but they know of her. They know the legend, all that. I would bet all the money in my bank account that, let's say, 95% or more of modern UFC fans have no idea who the fuck Gina Carano is. Like, I tried asking a buddy of mine that is just kind of getting into MMA, you know who Gina Carano is? He looked at me, who the fuck are you talking about? Listen, guys, I'm gonna be completely honest here. I even had to kind of go back and see the extensiveness of her career. I was 7 years old in 2009. I saw a stat that a lot of modern UFC fighters were in grade school when Gina Carano last fought. I think Robert Whittaker is included in that. Anybody younger than Whittaker, they just weren't around for the Carano era. And she may have been a legend back then or whatever, but I'm sorry, guys, nobody knows who the fuck she is. They could have, quite frankly, they could have put anybody against Ronda Rousey. It would have had the same exact effect. Nobody knows who Gina Carano is. I'm sorry. That might hurt some of the OG's feelings here. That might hurt some of the Unks' feelings, but nobody knows who she is. Uh, and quite frankly, the reaction, the media reaction kind of shows that. Um, Obviously, Ronda would be the A side. Like I said, you could put her against a corpse. She would be the A side. But Gina Carano ain't doing much for that. This ain't like a Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul where you bring in an old legend that everybody knows. Oh, I know who that is. I know who that is. No, no. Again, I know I'm kind of talking, repeating myself here, but nobody knows who Gina Carano is. Like I said, that might hurt a lot of people's feelings, but that's just the fucking truth. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's the truth. Um, Yeah, I mean, you know what, guys? Let's go ahead and look at their stats. That is something I'm very curious on looking at. I really want to look at um, what they kind of what their recent body of work is. We know Ronda. I know Ronda. I'm sure you guys do. You remember her most recent fight slash performances, but I am curious about Gina Carano. I really don't. I've never watched her fight. I never have. I don't know. Call me casual, call me whatever the fuck you want. I'm gonna call you Unk in return. I wasn't watching MMA in 2009. I was watching SpongeBob and Ed, Ed and Eddie. So let's go ahead and see. This is the official Netflix announcement. And I gotta say, what the hell is this posing, dude? This is goofy as hell. I mean, what is Ronda doing, bro? I mean, Gina looks legit here, but what the fuck is this? Anyways, um, yeah, this is the only fight they've announced on the card. Also, this look at this little promo by Nikisa Badarian. I'm not gonna lie, this is a little goofy as well. Is it gonna show it? Okay, it might not load up. But Ronda kicks the camera, Gina picks it up and elbows it. I don't fucking know. It it left a lot to be desired. Again, as my thumbnail says, I don't think anybody really cares about this fight other than the OGs of the game. Again, a lot of people like Ronda Rousey. It's true. A lot of people know Ronda Rousey. I'm not saying people aren't going to watch this. People will. People absolutely will. But to act like this is going to bring in the same kind of hype slash steam as the White House card, especially once it's announced, and 10 times more, especially once the Don is talking about it, to say that this is going to give the White House card a run for its money is fucking ridiculous. I am so sorry. The fact it's in the Intuit Dome is pretty good. It's a nice stadium, like I said. Um, May 16th, right? The fact that, like, again, the biggest thing about this is that it's on Netflix. If this were behind a paywall, it would be dead. If this were on anything other than Netflix, it'd probably get some views, but it'd probably be dead. The fact that it's on Netflix and it's Rousey, you see Rousey, and you're gonna see her face on the poster, no matter how fucking goofy she looks. That's gonna get a lot of clicks and a lot of views. It so it doesn't look like okay, so they're doing basic MMA gloves, 4-ounce gloves, 5 minutes, 5 rounds. I think that's a little much. They're probably gonna be gassed out by then. Um, yeah, I mean, we really don't have much more info on it. Again, I do wanna see their, oh, shoot. Is it gonna load up? Come on, take me to UFC stats. Here we go. I do really wanna see, or I should probably go on Tapology, I guess. I do really wanna see, what's it called? Gina Carano's most recent fight, which again, I know it was in 2009, but I really wanna see, I really wanna see who she fought and how it went down. Is she really only 7-1? She only fought 8 times? You're fucking joking. She did not only fight 8 times, right, guys? No fucking way. Are you fucking serious? She fought 8 times? Oh my god, bro. Her first fight was in 2004, dude. Holy shit. Right, or actually, I do remember the clip of Chris Cyborg knocking her out. Yeah, Ronda Rousey's gonna fuck her up really bad, realistically. because as much as we like to hate on Ronda, yeah, clearly she wasn't the peak form of women's MMA even during her time, but she was legit. Yeah, yeah, she lost to Holly Holm. I mean, look at her coach was, and of course, if she was gonna lose the striking to Holly Holm, she was gonna lose to Amanda Nunes. And it is unfortunate that she retired when she did, because had Ronda stayed, she could have been a solid top 5 for a little while. She had a lot of room for improvement, but there's the argument that that is the exact reason why she needed to quit and why she wouldn't have had more success. Let me just say, sorry for my hair. I was wearing a hat all day. It's kind of why I got my hood up and everything. Uh, but yeah, realistically, the way I see this going, I'm gonna call it now. I got Ronda Rousey via armbar and like maybe the second round, the first round. I saw Ronda did an interview where she said Carano like did an interview not too long ago and she looked fat or some shit like that. And so she wants to do her this favor by doing this fight for her with her. If that's actually true, I don't know. I don't watch Gina Carano interviews. Um, then yeah, Ronda's probably gonna beat the shit out of this girl. And again, I'm sure this is a massive fight for the unks, a big fight for the OGs of the game, like an Ariel, like those guys. No wonder they're hyping it up. But I'm telling you, 95% of fans do not know who the fuck Gina Carano is. I mean, if her last fight was in 2009, for Christ's sake, and she lost via KO to Chris Cyborg. I mean, come on, guys. Yeah, like I said, it'll absolutely get views. To deny that is being naive. It will absolutely get views. But I'm sorry to act like this is going to give the White House card a run for its money, especially like I said, once it starts getting the promotion from the president of the fucking United States. It's going to be wraps. Now there is a lot of interest. Who can they put on this undercard? I'm trying to think what fighters are out there not on contract right now. Maybe an Anthony Smith. I know he's doing a bare knuckle thing, or a Masvidal bare knuckle thing right now. You got Anthony Smith, maybe Gable Steveson. Actually, a little theory I had that I kind of want to get into is I feel like they might get Francis Ngannou on there. Now, yes, he is signed to PFL, but we all know the PFL, they're going to go bankrupt fighting this guy. So what if they lease him out to MVP? Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some contract professional, like I know how these things work. I've never seen one in my life, never seen a contract like that. But what I do imagine could happen, um, let's say PFL, they want to get Ngannou off. They want to get him out of there. They don't want him anymore. But you don't want to pay out how much, 5 million and then a million or 2 million to his opponent. That's a lot. So you let MVP fight him. You have MVP sign Gable. MVP pays Ngannou's purse for you, and in turn, it counts as a fight for Ngannou, and you let him fight on their promotion. Kickbacks or not, if the goal is to really get rid of Ngannou, then you just let him go for free. The whole deal is you just pay for everything in regards to his contractual agreements. Um, and yeah, we know Ngannou and MVP and Paul, they've communicated before they were on the same team for a while, then they weren't before the Joshua Paul fight. So yeah, I actually really do see a world where Ngannou can be the co-main event of that. Now, will Ngannou be willing to be the co-main event and not be the main event? I don't know. Personally, I don't know. I don't think he would. But that's just a little theory I have. Gable versus Ngannou on the undercard of this. What are the odds, right? It might happen. But I don't really know the whole scene. I don't know what interesting fighters that currently aren't signed with the UFC that they could put on there. Maybe Apache Mix. I mean, I don't think that works either. Yeah, it's very interesting. Other than Ngannou, I really don't know what big names they could get on that card. Rosenstruck, I'm sure they'll get him on there somewhere. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know who they could get on here. Jouten Almeida, they'll probably get Almeida versus Rosenstruck. Okay, there you go. There's a fight right there. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna be interested just because Ronda Rousey's coming back. Gina Carano adds nothing to this fight unless you're over the age of 35 and you're watching MMA in 2009, which I just, again, like I said, I just wasn't, guys. I wasn't. I was watching cartoons. Um, but yeah. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about this. Like I said, this news just broke. I really want to see Dana White's reaction to it because this is on the heels of him talking about beating up babies in terms of competition for boxing. And the kind of I don't know, the parallels there is very interesting as he's shit talking boxing, how he's taking it over, nobody's giving him any pushback. A new player snuck into the MMA game seemingly behind his back, signing this, figuring this out. I saw somebody tweet out there was a chance that Dana and them wanted this fight for the White House. It's possible, but as we all know, Dana White fucked up a deal with Gina Carano a long time ago. I guess he called her a bitch via text on accident. Was meant to go to somebody else, but he doubled down when Gina called him out on it, and then later apologized. And this is all per Gina, so we don't know how true this is. But it sounds very Dana White-esque, right? Um, so yeah, again, interesting fight, but just because Ronda's coming back, looking at Gina Carano's record, I mean, she's gonna get the shit beaten out of her. Yeah, Ronda hasn't been fighting, but I'm sure she's been a lot more active than Gina fucking Carano. So 1982, how old is she? What is it, 2026? 18, 2026 plus 18. What is that, 40? Holy shit. She's 44? What? How old's Ronda? Hold on. Let me look up how old these people are, guys. Let me look up. How old is Ronda Rousey? Holy shit. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Ronda was like 37 or something. How old is Gina Carano? Oh my god, she's 43. Okay. Okay, I didn't even what? She was in The Mandalorian? Are you serious? I didn't know she was in the fucking Mandalorian. What the hell? Did she play a big role or something? Huh. Good for her. Good for her. Wow. The actor ousted from Oh, shoot. I remember her. Yeah, she got, like, canceled or something. Oh my goodness. Right. Right. I forgot about all this. I forgot she was in okay. Okay, you know what? Let me take back what I said. Maybe Gina might add a little something to this, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't the fact that I didn't recognize her from this too, and I liked The Mandalorian, uh, yeah, I'm sorry. Like I said, it's a bit rude to say, but they could have brought the corpse of Gina Carano to fight Ronda Rousey. It would probably bring in the same amount of views. Um, but yeah, very interesting. Curious to see how that's gonna go. Let's go ahead and move on. I'm sure you guys aren't here to see me talk about fucking Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. The big thing I want to talk about, obviously, is UFC this weekend. A very politically charged matchup. Dare I say, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna get fucking banned. But we it's just a beautifully timed matchup for this politically charged climate. We got Sean Ice Strickland taking on Anthony Mexico Hernandez. Fluffy. Yeah, I'm sure you guys don't need me to explain the joke here, why I'm saying it's politically charged and everything. And like I said, we've made it to Wednesday, and I haven't seen Sean Strickland say anything too fucking crazy, surprisingly, other than like the meme he reposted on his story. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was kind of expecting a lot more to talk about in terms of Strickland versus Hernandez. Like I said, I thought Strickland was gonna be going crazy on the mic already and make a bunch of crazy posts, but that is not the case. That is not what's happened so far. He's been a good boy. Um, who knows? I think he realizes like if he says something now about that, that might go very very viral in a bad way, and in the Bryce Mitchell kind of way. But who knows? The press conference hasn't happened yet. Let me check. It might have actually happened. Let me check. Uh, that's my YouTube channel. Nope, it was just media day today. Okay. So we don't care about that. I'm like I said, I'm really just interested in this press conference. But let me go ahead and start on these picks. It's a solid card. I'm not gonna act like this is, something you're gonna really wanna come take a look at. Yeah, man, you got Ode in the co-main of the prelims. That ain't nothing special. Yeah, you got Phil Rowe on here. Nothing too crazy on here. But obviously, this main event is a must watch. It is very telling for the middleweight division. I would even go as far as to say this is a title contention matchup for Sean Strickland. I don't think if Anthony Hernandez would have to go in and knock out Sean Strickland to secure a title shot against Hamzat next, because Imavov just looked better, quite frankly. Um, but anyways, let me go ahead and start at the bottom of this main card. I'm gonna fly through a lot of this pretty quickly. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of stuff to talk about for this. Um, Zach Reese versus Michel Pereira. Zach is pretty powerful. Um, and he's a decent striker. I think when Michel Pereira is like on, when he's not, when he's allowed to juice up and stuff, I think he would whoop on Zach Reese. But honestly, he's been looking washed lately. I don't know what it is. Maybe his chemist fucked up the batch or something like that. I don't know. But he just has been looking ass, honestly. Even in the first round, he hasn't been looking good at all, that's supposed to be his best round. So that being said, I am just gonna go with Zach Reese. How? I don't know. Pereira is pretty fucking tough. So I don't think Zach Reese is gonna get him out of there. Um, but he could. He really could. Uh, like I said, if we got like a prime Michelle Pereira doing his crazy flip shit, fucking bouncing off the wall, things like that, I think he could catch Zach Reese. I don't think Zach Reese has seen, anything like that at all. But I mean, if you look at the strikes absorbed per minute, we know Michelle Pereira absorbs a lot of strikes, even though he likes to move around like he's Mayweather. He gets hit a lot, and Zach Reese hits a lot, and he hits pretty powerful. So yeah, I do. I don't want to go as far and say Zach Reese is going to finish Pereira. I still do have some belief in Pereira's athleticism and willingness to throw shit at the wall to see what sticks. I think that'll give Zach a lot of problems. But once you get past that first 2.5 minutes, I think Zach is just going to kind of take over and Pereira's going to gas out. So I got Zach Reese via unanimous decision, I'll say. Or it could be knockout. But again, I believe in Michel Pereira enough that I don't think he's going to get finished. But if he gasses himself out enough, he might. He might. Again, we don't know what happened to this fucking guy. Could have just stopped juicing. He could have, Father Time could have hit him like a fucking truck. We don't know, but he's not the fighter he used to be. So I got to go with Zach Reese there. We got Jacoby Smith. Jacoby Smith versus Josiah Harrell. What is going on? Oh, I didn't know who was undefeated. I thought he had one loss. I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie. I thought he had one loss. Huh. Does he not? Sorry, let me pull up UFC stats. I fucking hate. I'm a UFC stats fan. I don't like using Tapology. I don't like using really anything else. Tapology is nice because it shows all their fights outside of the UFC. What the fuck? But I like UFC stats. I like UFC stats. It's just easier to read at a glance, in my opinion, and it's just prettier. All right, let's go ahead and look at this. Who was I looking at? Josiah Harrell. Let's look at his fights. Oh, is this his debut? Was he a Contender Series guy? He might have been on a Contender Series because I'm gonna be honest, I don't really recognize this guy, the Muscle Hamster. What is he? Fighting Smith? Interesting. Um, huh. Actually, I'm a little stumped. Sorry, guys. I'm not too sure who this guy is. But I can still make a prediction because although I may not be familiar with Josiah Harrell, I am familiar with Jacoby Smith. And no offense to Jacoby Smith, but he's low key ass. I know he's undefeated, but like, I don't know. Every time I watch this guy fight, I swear to God, I see him lose. I swear to God. Am I tripping? Am I thinking of somebody else? What the hell? This is kind of threw off my whole train of thought. Really? What the hell? Okay, guys, don't listen to me. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, clearly. I swear to God, Jacoby Smith was like on a fucking losing streak. Who am I thinking of? Okay, well, this is gonna be off the dome. I gotta go with Jacoby Smith, obviously. If this is Josiah Harrell's debut and he's taking on a fellow 11-0 fighter that is 3-0 in the UFC, you just gotta give it to the guy that's been there, the UFC vet, comparative to Josiah Harrell. We'll go with Jacoby Smith. Very impressive by Jacoby Smith to win by all finishes here. I swear he's been dropped once or twice or no. Huh. Yeah, what the hell? He's never been knocked down. I swear I saw him get his shit rocked one time on a prelim, and I just, like, kinda turned it off, but could be wrong. I'm probably thinking of somebody else. But anyways, yeah, I mean, just looking at these stats alone, Josiah hasn't had a single fight in the UFC, Jacoby has. You gotta go with Jacoby Smith. Josiah could be a lot better. Like I said, I haven't seen his Contender Series performance or anything like that. Um, but yeah, it's a tough task to beat an undefeated prospect in the UFC in your debut. I don't think Josiah even has a Contender Series fight because it's showing Jacoby's Contender Series fight here. So if this is Josiah's true debut, then yeah, Jacoby's probably gonna fuck him up. So I'll go with Jacoby Smith there. I'll just go with finish just because, again, like I said, I don't know much about Josiah. I got to be honest here, guys. It's kind of crazy to have a debutee on the main card, in my opinion. But we all know they're holding a lot of fights back for this White House card. So let's move on. I got Zachary's, Jacoby Smith. Now, this is one I know for sure. We got Sergey Spivak versus Ante Delija, whatever. They're both coming off of losses. I was a big believer in Ante here. I really was. His last fight, it was a letdown. It was a letdown. Let's be honest, guys. It was a letdown. I thought he would win. Um, Man, I'm so embarrassed because, like, my brain is failing me. Waldo. Okay, I was gonna say I know it was somewhat recently, and I know he got knocked out. Um, I thought Ante was gonna beat Salsa Boy, and I gotta be honest, I've been one of the Salsa Boy haters to a degree. I'm not a hater. I like him. I think he's all right, other than his, deadbeat or whatever. Um, but I keep thinking Salsa Boy is gonna lose, and this fight was no different. I expected a lot out of Ante Delija, especially after he beat Tybura the way he did. And yeah, it's Tybura. He did what he should have done if he was as good as he said he was. But the fact that he lost against Cortez Acosta like that made me lose a lot of hope in his future in the division. He doesn't have the chin necessary to bang with the people that he wants to bang with. And what I mean by that is he's a striker. He likes to strike. Um, I don't think he has a chin for it. And Cortez Acosta really proved it because they had a pretty good striking match. He outstruck Waldo Cortez Acosta. But, at heavyweight, it really only takes one punch at any given time to end the fight. So uh, that that's always disappointing when you find out a good heavyweight prospect, somebody you're following. Once you find out they don't have a chin, you could kind of kiss their title shot goodbye because they will never touch that belt at heavyweight if they don't have a chin. And unfortunately, Delija is no exception to that. So let's go ahead and look at Sergey Spivak, whose last fight was also a loss to Waldo Cortez Acosta. Look at that. He also lost to Jailton Almeida. He got he got finished by Jailton Almeida. Yeah, Ante Delija is probably going to finish Spivak in the first round. KO/TKO punches for sure. Delija would have really had to have a big fall off to lose to Sergey Spivak. I mean, he did get knocked out more recently, but Sergey got fucking lost a unanimous decision to Waldo Cortez Acosta in June of 2025. Fight before that was in January. Fight before that in August. So Sergey is clearly, he has a foot out the door already. I'm sure he doesn't really think he has much left for him in his career after this. I mean, I know he's been fighting for a long time. 2019, really? That doesn't sound right. I feel he's been fighting for longer, but that's how long he's been in the UFC. Um, yeah, this is a bounce back fight for Ante Delija. You could tell they really want to build this guy up. We know the UFC really needs heavyweights. Um, so yeah, sorry guys, I got to run to the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. Alright, guys, I'm back. Sorry, I really had to go pee. I was holding that this whole time. But anyways, yeah, Ante Delija, he's probably gonna beat the shit out of Sergey Spivak. I'm not even gonna pretend like I think it's gonna go any other way. Um, Spivak's already out the door. I mean, he's been around for a while. Um, he fought twice last year. Both of them were a loss, and he's going up against somebody, I can't say with momentum, but somebody fresher. I don't know if he's younger, but clearly the quicker, more snappy, reactive fighter, and especially as fighters kind of age out and get older, that becomes more and more important. So yeah, I'll have to go with Ante Delija there. So quick little recap: we got Zach Reese, Jacoby Smith, Ante Delija. If I'm saying that wrong, correct me in the comments, please. And we got Dan Ige versus Milkizal Costa. I don't really know. He looks familiar, but I don't remember ever calling him that. So again, let's go back to UFC stats. This is why UFC stats is so much better. If you're a fan of my channel, if you watch my videos, um, you'll come to realize why UFC stats is better. It just has all the info you really need. So look at him. Who has he fought? Okay, yeah. He knocked out Morgan Cherie. Okay. This is a tough fight for Danny. Yeah, we know Danny Gate is absolutely fucking game, but I'm gonna be honest. I've been kind of waiting for his chin to crack. I really have. We've seen in a just straight up striking battle, he will lose. He's a very good striker, but if you're a top level guy with power, you could keep Danny Gay at bay. And hell, I was gonna say I remember the Andre Feely fight. That was going a little tough for Ige until, of course, he caught Feely. But let's go, to the most recent fights. Patricio Pitbull. How the fuck are you gonna lose a Patricio Pitbull? I'm sorry. In a striking battle, I do rate. I can't even say his name. Costa. I do rate Costa a lot higher than Pitbull, which that might be a little ludicrous to say. But when you consider the physical stats of both guys and the way Costa fights, I feel like this is a recipe for a disaster for Danny Ige. And again, Danny Ige has proven he can strike with taller guys, longer guys that have vicious power. But I don't think he's proven that he can consistently beat them. And I just think Costa has all this momentum for him, all this confidence. Ige is the guy to derail somebody like that. But I just think the length and reach of Costa is going to be way too much. I actually can see a kick landing on Ige similar to how Costa landed it on Cherie. Because I feel like Morgan, Cherie, and Ige kind of square up in the same way, and very similar body types compared to Costa. So I am gonna have to go with Costa here. Again, I'm not gonna say he's gonna finish Danny Ige. I'm not. Even though Costa has power, Danny Ige is that fucking guy, and he is tough. And if you want to finish him, you gotta fucking kill him clearly. And Costa could be the man to do it, but I just don't think he will. I think he'll try. But I think he'll quickly realize he can't try too much because you can't give a guy like Ige opportunities to land on you when you overstretch, and because he will make you pay for it and will capitalize on that no matter what time it is in the fight. But because this is a 3-rounder, and I would imagine cardio isn't that big of a deal, because what is this, 145? I I do think Costa's going to take it. Like I said, possibly by finish if he catches Ige Ige's coming out of an exchange, and like I said, Costa's just longer, so he could catch him with something long there. But Ige's a tough motherfucker. I don't see Costa getting the finish, but I got Costa via unanimous decision there. He's probably going to safely outstrike Ige. First couple of rounds will be close, but as it goes on, it'll start clearly going for Costa. Those teeps and jabs will just really carry him. So let's move on to that. What do we got? We got the co-main event. Jeff Neal, the Roadhouse Warrior, versus Uros Medic. Full disclosure, guys, I'm a big fan of Jeff Neal, Hands of Steel. I don't know why. I've always been a fan of him. Ever since really the Shavkat fight, where I feel like he really kind of showed who he was. realistically, that was the peak of his ability. I've had a lot of respect for him because that was a good fucking fight. Um, yeah, it sucks he got knocked out the way he did against Carlos Prates. I wanted Jeff Neal to win. I thought that would have been cool for him, but Prates knocked his ass out, and that really wasn't too long ago either. Huh? Hold on, let me see when that was. When that fight was. Why am I going on that? Let me see when this fight was. When was Jeff Neal versus Car? Because that wasn't too long ago either. That was in August. Holy shit, guys! Time goes fucking quick. Huh, that does not feel like August. I thought that was like November. Damn. That was about 5, 6 months ago. Holy shit. Anyways, I was gonna say I'm a little worried because he's coming off of a knockout like that, but he's probably had more than enough time to recover. However, it was still a vicious knockout. So the worry of him not being fully recovered, I guess, is still there because again, it was a very vicious knockout. And he is towards the end of his career for being realistic. We got this new crop coming in, and we got, these guys kind of going out. What was his last three were losses, I believe. I want to say. I guess I could check. No, you're right. He beat RDA. Yeah, man, I forgot he took a large gap, a large time off. Beating RDA in the big 2024, that don't really mean much, especially finishing him in the first round. That doesn't mean shit. We see the level he's at. He's above an RDA, above a Luque, but below a Machado Gary, below a Rachmanov, below a Carlos Prates. And that's okay. Like I said, he's been around for a long time. Right, he did beat Bilal back in the day on the Cejudo Dillashaw card. And he's been fighting since 2017. So I'm sitting here talking about Spivak. He's been around for a while. Jav Neal has actually been around for a while. So that's really impressive just on his part. Yeah, so he is kind of towards the end of his career. That could really explain why he's just been getting finished more. He just maybe doesn't have that spark in him. Now, I do know Jeff Neal came out and said that he's been dealing with addiction the last 5 years, and that this is the first fight he's gonna be coming in fully clean, fully locked in, whatever. Honestly, I don't really care if that's true. Um, your performances speak for themselves, regardless of the explanation behind them. Now let's go ahead and look at Euros Medic. I was gonna say I know Medic has power, and clearly, just looking at his record, this guy lives by the sword, dies by the fucking sword. He's gonna go in there and finish Jeff Neal, realistically. I rate Muslim Salikov pretty high. I thought he was gonna be a solid fighter, to be honest. Yeah, he did lose to Randy Brown, but I thought it was gonna bounce back. Um, but yeah, Euros Medic knocked his ass out. Euros Medic, I would rate him a worse striker than Joff Neal. Honestly, I think when it comes to pure boxing and striking, Joff Neal is better. But like I said, Joff Neal is slowing down a little bit. He doesn't have that fighting that he used to, that skill that he used to, that snappiness, that speed that he used to. Um, and Medic does. I would say he's a lot more powerful, a lot quicker. Yeah, just quicker to land the punch. I think these guys are gonna meet in the middle. And realistically, I see Euros Medic catching Jeff Neal with something nasty. Maybe in the first round, I could see Jeff kind of, catching his breath and trying to set something up. But in the midst of it, boom, Euros pulls out some crazy shit, a flash 1-2 or spinning backhand. Actually, Jeff seems weak to those. He really didn't see that coming. Or it could just go on a little bit later. Jeff might gas out, and Medic is probably going to put it on him. Now, Medic's fights, anything that has gone past the first round, he has lost, I believe. Is this accurate? Yes. Medic has never won a fight that wasn't in the first round. So obviously, Jeff Neal's goal here is to extend this and kind of use his UFC veteran savvy to, maybe stay on the outside, poke and prod, get yourself an easy unanimous decision victory. But I just don't think he has the facilities to kind of avoid a big shot from Euros Medic the entire fight. Especially if Medic really comes out there with the power that he kind of is known to have. I mean, yeah, he knocked these guys out under 10 punches each. Yeah, that's a little fucking crazy. I'm sorry. Here we go. Semmelsberger, he had to land 69 to knock him out. Yes, actually, I lied. He does have a win in the third round and via spinning back elbow. So there's actually a solid chance he might pull the same shit out against Jeff Neal. He's done it before. Why was I saying he only won in the first round? He clearly has 2 wins here in the third and second, so I'm tripping, guys. But like I said, um, I do think Euros Medic is gonna take it. He just has the momentum going for him, and he has real hands of steel. So does Jeff Neal. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he has that power the way Medic does. And like I said, he probably doesn't have the drive, hunger, and he just straight up doesn't have physicality to handle the younger guy, fresher guy in Medic. So I'm gonna have to go with Euros Medic here via KO/TKO. Unfortunately, I do think he's gonna knock out Jeff Neal. Probably, I'll say in the second round. Again, Jeff Neal's path to victory here is just unanimous decision. Poke and prod, extend him to the later rounds. Pretty much do the Chael Sonnen. Don't let him get close. Keep him extended away. Don't even give him the opportunity to land that big shot on you. I just don't think Jeff Neal has that skill or speed anymore. Who knows if he ever did to keep a guy like this off him for 15 minutes straight. It's the co-main. I don't know if it's 25. I don't think it is because it's not a title fight. But yeah, I got Medic. All right, guys, we're on to the main event. The big fight everybody's been waiting for. I'm actually very excited for this fight. I'm a solid fan of both of these guys. That might be crazy to say about Sean Strickland, but I don't think he's that bad. Yeah, he's a little boring and all that, but brings a lot of eyes to the sport, creates a lot of moments, a lot of talking points for guys like me. So I'll always be grateful for that. He'll be taking on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, a relatively unknown guy when you compare him to a guy like Sean Strickland. But something tells me after this fight, he's going to be a lot bigger, win or lose. Now, let me go ahead and talk about the controversial stuff here. I'm not going to get too much into it because it's not the kind of channel I am. I'm an MMA channel, not a politics channel. But the reason I was saying I'm so surprised Sean Strickland hasn't done anything, he hasn't done anything crazy this far is because, yeah, it's no secret. ICE, immigration, that's a big thing right now in headlines and in general. Sean Strickland never shied away from being the American, blah, 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 well before all of this. So it's only natural that, he's coming into this fight in the midst of this political climate against a Mexican, a dude named Anthony Hernandez. The jokes kind of write themselves, right? And again, I haven't seen Sean say anything that fucking crazy. I really haven't. He probably respects Anthony a lot. I mean, this is going to be a tough fight for him. But I think at most he reposted that meme of him in the ICE uniform and Hernandez had the poncho and sombrero and all that. I personally don't care about stuff like that. Like whatever. But a lot of fans really did not like that by Sean Strickland. So there's going to be a lot of eyes hate watching this main event. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? So Anthony Hernandez, he's a natural baby face here. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I kind of thought Sean would have said some shit by now. I thought I'd have a little bit more to talk about, but obviously not. We'll go ahead and go back to UFC stats because this is where I like to look at the stats. Let me start with Anthony Hernandez. Let's look at who he has beat recently. His last loss was against Kevin Holland in 2020. That's kind of crazy, honestly, looking at it. But yeah, he's kind of been on a run. He beat Vieira, Fremd, Andre Barrial. That's pretty solid to finish him. Right, he did knock out Shabazian. I actually remember that. I do remember him beating Kopylov. I want to say this was short notice. This was a short notice fight by Kopylov, but still, he dominated Michel Pereira. That was ridiculous. Beat the shit out of Brendan Allen as well, I feel like. Whooped Roman Dolidze as well. And now we have him going against Sean Strickland. This is obviously the biggest step up in his career thus far. Anthony hasn't fought anybody as good as Sean Strickland, in my opinion. Maybe you could say like a Dolidze or Brendan Allen, but Sean Strickland is sneakily very, very good. He consistently puts up large striking numbers. I mean, before the Pereira fight, a lot of people, I think it was before the Pereira fight. He had the best striking defense percentage or something like that in the UFC. And yeah, he's actually a pretty good hands-only boxer. He's he's a very good sparring style in the sense he's good at poking, prodding, jab, 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 poke, slip out the way, barely miss him. And that's a very important skill to have in MMA. It may not be the prettiest, but at the end of the day, the game is I touch you, you don't touch me, right? And that is something Sean Strickland does very, very well. However, uh, there are big questions about his grappling. We've heard a lot about his grappling, and we've seen a little bit of it, but really we haven't seen it. We haven't seen him go against a true grappler that'll grind you out like Fluffy Hernandez will. And I think that's Fluffy's key path to victory here. Sorry, guys, I need a burp. Excuse me. That was a bit gross. Anyways, yeah, Fluffy's path to victory here is grinding out Sean Strickland. He needs to, in my opinion, go for the takedown right away. Do not even attempt to strike with Sean Strickland because, quite frankly, Sean Strickland is a way better striker than Fluffy Hernandez. I could be proved wrong in this fight, but if they go out there hands for fucking hands, it's not going to work. In my opinion, what Fluffy needs to go right away, blast a takedown immediately, as quick as you can. Maybe break from it. Go in the strike and then blast another. Just pretty much put the fear of the takedown in Sean Strickland and then try to fight. He needs to full send a takedown at least 3 times maybe before Sean will truly start to respect it. And best case scenario, Sean actually was all bark. He has no grappling game. Fluffy takes him down, finishes him easy there. Worst case scenario, Fluffy can't take him down, but he can instill the threat of the takedown enough to where it opens up a lot of opportunities for him on the feet. A lot of people say his cardio is going to be big here. I actually disagree. I think Sean Strickland has the better cardio than Fluffy Hernandez. Again, Fluffy hasn't fought the level of competition that Sean Strickland has. I mean, just look at these guys. I would say Jack Hermanson is better. This Jack Hermanson in 2022 is a lot better than a lot of the guys that Fluffy has fought recently. Imavov, Abus, maybe not Abus, Adesanya, prime. I mean, this wasn't prime Adesanya. This was a drunk Adesanya. But still, I have a lot of these guys above Brendan Allen, Michelle Pereira, Kopylov. These are good wins, and the way he won them was impressive. But the name alone, that doesn't compare to Strickland's record. Hell, losing to Duplessis in the way he did, a lot of people feel like he beat Duplessis the first time. Yeah. When you really look at the level of competition, Strickland is another level. So this is more of a question: will Fluffy be able to handle Strickland? Over than asking, will Strickland be able to handle Fluffy? Because again, we know Strickland has been in these positions. He's been back against the wall against some young guys. He's been the one to fight up and comers and Pereira. He's been the one to fight OGs and Cannonier, Hall, Adesanya, Duplessis, Costa. Strickland's been through it. Anthony's going to need a lot more than just cardio to quote unquote break Strickland, because the big common factor, I think, in a lot of these fights by Anthony Hernandez is he breaks the guys he's fighting. He breaks them down with his relentless pressure and cardio. Strickland also brings that to the table as well. And again, Strickland is a more experienced pressure fighter. I would imagine there's a realistic world where it's Strickland putting Fluffy on the back foot. And Fluffy has a cardio to do that for 5 rounds. We know that. But we haven't seen him get beat on for 5 rounds while backing up. And we know Strickland's going to be pushed forward with his jabs, teeps, and punches. And as boring as it may be to watch, they're effective. And if you don't have the good enough striking or grappling to keep Sean off of you, Sean's going to be in your face all fucking night. So, yeah, I'm actually very, very curious on this matchup. I think it's very interesting. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people are talking about Anthony Hernandez's cardio. I think Strickland's cardio is better, truly. And the fact that Strickland is an underdog, I think that's free money. I would eventually like to kind of get a betting segment in here somewhere, but I don't really bet enough on UFC to really make videos and segments off of it. And when I do, I only bet like crazy underdogs. But the fact that Sean Strickland is an underdog, I'm sorry, guys. That's his bullshit. You got to throw $20 on Sean. You have to, because there is a very realistic world where he just busts up Anthony Hernandez for 25 minutes straight. There's a very solid world that happens. Um, do I think that's going to happen? Yes. I do think Sean Strickland is going to be Anthony Hernandez. I really like fluffy guys. I really do. I think he's very, very good. He has the cardio. The cardio and just physicality of him puts him above a lot of people in that 185 division. However, Sean Strickland has all that as well. He has a lot of pressure, like I said, more proven pressure fighting than Anthony Hernandez against dangerous strikers, against people that'll put your lights out in a split second, such as um, Costa, hell, Adesanya, fucking Imavov. I mean, a lot of these guys, very dangerous fights for Sean Strickland. Pereira, even. I mean, he wasn't even doing too bad against Pereira until he got knocked the fuck out. Um, Strickland's legit, guys. You don't have to like him. You don't have to like anything he says. Lord knows I don't. But he's a good fucking fighter. He may not be the best fighter, but there was a time where he proved that he was. So we can't just forget that as much as we don't like him. He's the proven guy. Anthony's stepping up to his level. And we just haven't seen anything from Anthony Fluffy Hernandez that shows he could even go with any of these guys. I mean, maybe beating Delize the way he did, but again, beating Delize like this in 2025, that ain't that impressive. I mean, he came off of beating Vittori, Holland, Smith. You know, that really doesn't tell you too much. Whereas again, we'll go with Strickland. Yeah, I lost to Duplessis in a good fight. Beat Costa in a fight, but he beat him. Arguably beat Duplessis, beat Adesanya straight up, finished Abus, beat up Imavov, who whooped on Delizy, I remember. And I know MMA math doesn't work all the time, but yeah, I'm sorry. The fact that Strickland is the underdog in this is fucking crazy. I think this is going to be easy money for a lot of people, truly. Uh, yeah, I think a lot of people are letting their personal opinion on Sean Strickland cloud their betting judgment. I just don't see how Sean would be this much of an underdog. He's just the more proven fighter. Yeah, the record ain't as pretty and all that, but how many times have we seen something in 7 guy beat somebody with only 1 or 2 losses? It happens all the time in MMA. And I actually really see this happening again to Saturday night. I was going to say tomorrow night. It's Wednesday, Saturday night. Kind of something I want to follow up on just with this fight is the outcomes of this. What does this lead to for each fighter? I think this could be a title fight shot for Sean Strickland. I don't think it is for Anthony Hernandez unless he gets a very viral clip farmy-esque finish of Sean Strickland. That's the only way. If Anthony Hernandez can knock out Sean Strickland or choke him out real bad, rear naked, and make him tap in the first round and then hold up the Mexican flag and fucking call out ice or something like that, that'll make him fucking massive. Hell, dare I say that would be big enough for like a White House card. They could run this shit back on the White House. But if I don't think this is going to happen for one, but if Sean Strickland were to just unanimous decision teep his way to a victory over Anthony Hernandez, that might secure him a White House shot. That might, maybe not a title shot against Hamzat because they don't want a guy like Hamzat on the White House card. But at best case, if Sean wins, doesn't matter how he wins. With the shit he's been talking about Hamzat and how just interesting he can be with what he says, that might slot him in over an Imavov, especially because he has a win over Imavov. So Strickland just needs to win, and he'll get that title shot. If he were to knock out Anthony Hernandez or finish him early, oh my God, that is his. And hell, they might even put it on the White House just because. Anthony Hernandez, like I said, he's going to have to do some crazy. You have to really put the beats on Sean Strickland if he wants to jump over Imavov. Like I said, a proper finish over Sean Strickland, hold up the Mexican flag, wear the sombrero, the poncho, and call out ice or something in your post-fight interview. I think that'll fucking put him up there with the casuals. He'll be well loved by a lot of fighters or by a lot of fans. I just don't see that happening. Yeah, he's good cardio heavy. He'll be able to go with Sean for those first 3 rounds, but again, I just think Sean is a better proven pressure fighter. I think he's better proven with his cardio as well. And I feel like we haven't seen Hernandez get in the wars that Sean has. We haven't seen Hernandez's cardio when his face is all bloody, when he's been getting jabbed up for 3 straight rounds. Uh, we've really only seen him kind of fight to go his way. And I just think Strickland is going to give him a level of adversity that he hasn't faced before. Strickland is just going to slip away from every shot and just kind of be poking at him, bugging him the entirety of 25 minutes. We're going to find out if Fluffy is a cardio machine that we all think he is. I don't think he is. I'm sorry. So I'm going to have to go with Sean Strickland via unanimous decision. Again, I don't think he's going to finish Fluffy. I don't think Sean has a lot of finishing capability, quite frankly, unless you really hand it to him on a silver platter. But yeah, I got Sean Strickland via unanimous decision. If I had to pick who I want to win, I would say I like Fluffy better as a person. In terms of entertainment, I like Sean better. I just like I like the shit he talks. I just think it's interesting. It's always an interesting time when it's his fight week, and surprisingly, he hasn't made many headlines thus far into the week. Which that might change the second I get off stream and check my Twitter and see what they said during media day. It could be wrong, but I think Strickland is going to show those levels, unfortunately. So yeah, I got Strickland via unanimous decision. Now let's do a quick recap of all my picks for the main card. I got Zach Reese via decision. He could finish Pereira, but I don't know. I still have faith in him. I got Jacoby Smith finishing Josiah Harrell because this is Harrell's fucking UFC debut. That's crazy to go against an undefeated prospect in the UFC. But he's also undefeated. Who knows? He could step up. I got Ante Delija beating halfway out the door Sergey Spivak. Spivak ain't terrible, but come on, guys. We all know he's done pretty much. He's on the tail end of his career, and Delija's just getting started. I got Costa beating Dan Ige. I think the reach and power is going to be too much for Ige. Ige's going to be game. He's going to be in there, but I think that's going to be his undoing. He's going to be too game to strike with Costa. Once it hits that second or third rounds, it's going to get real dicey for him. So I got Costa via, I'm going to say decision, but a part of me wants to say he's going to finish Ige. But Ige's a tough motherfucker, so it's hard for me to go against him in terms of not getting finished, or in terms of getting finished or whatever. So I got Costa there. I got Medique knocking out Jeff Neal. I love Jeff Neal, but I mean, they both like to strike, and Medique has powerful fucking hands. And I'm just going to bank on him having the better chin at this rate. I think he's going to bank on that as well. I think they're going to meet in the middle and fucking bang, and we're going to find out who's going to leave the octagon on their own feet very quickly in this fight. And I believe that'll be Euros Medique. Now we're on to the main event. Like I just said, I got Sean Strickland. He's just the better proven fighter. Like I said, Hernandez is very, very good. He's been on a solid run, but the competition Sean Strickland has been fighting has just been a lot better. If you don't think Hernandez could fuck up DDP the way Hamzat did, or if he could go to war the way Strickland did with him, then I don't know. Maybe Hernandez could wrestle fuck a DDP, but again, I just don't think we've seen him do that to anywhere close to the level of fighters that Strickland has fought. So because of that alone, I am gonna have to go with Strickland. But who knows? Who knows? We might be in a quote unquote new era, even though these guys are close to the same age. Like I said, I just got to go with a proven fighter and Sean Strickland. We've seen Strickland step up in a lot of situations where the cards were stacked against him. We haven't really seen that from Anthony Hernandez yet. So yeah, guys, those are my picks. Let me know what you think. Are they casual? Are they not? I was going to go over the prelims, but I'm not going to lie. I don't really care for these. I'm going to watch them, but I'm not. I don't want to look into who's going to win what. I mean, you know what? I got to go with the Monkey King here. I fuck with the Monkey King, Jordan Leavitt. I really, really wanted him to beat Paddy Pimblett. He's kind of got a second win, so I guess the prelim fighter to watch is the Monkey King, Jordan Leavitt. I think he's cool, man. I don't give a fuck if he's fruity or whatever. I respect fighters. I just have an interesting, fresh gimmick, and he had one. He didn't give a fuck about dropping it low and throwing it around. So I respect him putting that on the line against Paddy Pimblett. Like he really was willing to go aura for aura with him. And unfortunately he lost, but who knows? We might get the Monkey King Paddy rematch in a few years because like I said, he's turned his career around. He's starting to really kind of find a second wind. He's making his way up the rankings slowly, slowly, slowly. And whereas who knows, Paddy might just be downhill from here. So yeah, I'll probably, like I said, I'm gonna watch these prelims, but I don't really care for them for the most part. Uh, but yeah, comment down below. What do you guys think? Who do you guys think is gonna be the fight of the night there? Last thing I kind of want to talk about, I would like to talk about Zuffa boxing. Been pretty interesting lately. A nasty KO recently, but really the big thing I would like to talk about is Dana White talking shit on the other promoters. I'm just gonna talk about it real quick, then we're gonna get out of here for the night. But yeah, I'm sure you guys have heard the quote already. As Dana White said, it is like beating up babies. And that was a funny clip in of itself. But the funniest thing about that is that motherfucker doubled down. That was hilarious. He goes, it's like beating up babies. And the lady who asked him, she didn't ask another question. Dana just straight up followed up. And it's like beating up babies. That's awesome to see, for one, to see Dana get a little bit of his fire back. I think he needed a little bit of competition, which again, that adds a lot more interest to the Gina Carano Ronda Rousey fight signed. Mainly the fact that it's hosted by MVP slash Jake Paul, and it seems like they're cornering the women's combat market. I gotta say, I think that's a smart move, as we've seen in like one and stuff like that. Throwing at atom weight, there's a lot of fans, especially overseas, that would love to watch ladies fight. But I digress. Dana was specifically talking shit on boxing promoters. Oscar, yeah, but the real only boxing threat, other than MVP, honestly, which is crazy to say, Jake Paul really is quote unquote rivaling Dana White in terms of boxing, I guess, is Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. They're the only ones that are still around. I don't know what the fuck Bob Arum's been up to. I don't know if Frank Warren's been keeping his thing alive by a thread. Like I said, it's really Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. And Dana White called him flat the fuck out. Again, nobody asked him about Eddie Hearn. He just brought it up. Guys like Eddie Hearn saying what we're doing is cringe or whatever. He started clowning Eddie Hearn for being, being a Nepo baby, taking over daddy's business, which that is true. And it's a little rich for, Dana White to say that. It's not like he founded the fucking UFC. But, he does have more of a right to say he built something than Eddie Hearn does. So I understand why he's saying that. Unfortunately, I don't know if Eddie Hearn's responded yet. I haven't seen anything, but I really, really want to see what Eddie Hearn has to say about that. I love this stuff, dude. I love the promoters going at each other, talking about the business, things like that. Unfortunately, fucking Ariel Helwani is out covering the Olympics or whatever the fuck, so we're not going to see a good Eddie Hearn interview until he comes back, until the Olympics are over. But gosh, man, I cannot wait to see what Eddie Hearn has to say about that. We saw this kind of boiling up slowly. Dana would go, Eddie Hearn's a nice guy, but Eddie Hearn going, Dana's my friend. Dana's my friend. But how all this shit starts, right? And with Dana saying it's like beating up babies and then going on to the call Eddie Hearn a non-visionary. He hasn't built anything. Nobody refers to Eddie Hearn when they're talking about visionaries. He just took over daddy's business. Those are real fucking fighting words. And quite frankly, Dana wouldn't be saying that if he wasn't seeing numbers that supported it. Dana is a shit talker, I know. But with how blunt and blatantly he said that, it makes you think he probably saw something that he liked, a number that he liked. And I gotta agree. I know a lot of boxing fans aren't really a big fan of Zuffa. And I gotta be honest, it ain't the prettiest. It's not really getting my interest too much. I turn it on in the background, but I'm gonna, I'm looking on Twitter. I'm doing other things, really. But it's getting there. The fact that this is only their third event and they're already, kind of becoming, I don't want to say a true household name, but they're slowly fading into the background, which people are saying is a bad thing. This is actually exactly what they wanted. They want to normalize themselves before they start doing the big fights. If the big fights come before then, perfect. But their focus right now is clearly just building up the league, getting rankings, getting a roster, a stable of fighters that will recognize, oh, Zuffa's on. This is the guy, or this is the champ. This is an up and comer. They're working on building that. And yes, these events are not the biggest, they're not the best, whatever. But they're just getting the thing they have over, let's say, Eddie Hearn, a Matchroom, is consistency. Now, what I mean by that is you know where to watch Zuffa. You know where it's going to be every weekend. It's going to be on Paramount. And if you're a UFC fan, it's just right there. It's easy to click. Unfortunately for Matchroom, they're on DAZN, and I'm tired of acting like DAZN is like some well-watched thing and all that. I mean, maybe over there in fucking Britain or the UK or whatever, but here in America, the biggest combat, that's not true. The biggest consumer market out there in the world, uh, a Matchroom ain't shit. Nobody knows what Matchroom is. I can't I don't I can't really name much about Matchroom, and I'm like a boxing fan, um, other than Eddie Hearn. I mean, Eddie Hearn is kind of the guy for Matchroom. I mean, who else is there? A real boxing fan is gonna call me a casual here, but the point is, and I'm not making it seem like Zuffa has fighters over Matchroom. They have Jai Opataya, but he doesn't count. He hasn't even fucking fought, and he's gonna be fighting nobody. But the point is, what I'm getting at is Zuffa just has that consistent branding, consistent fights, uh, consistently average fighters, and they're building it just a lot better than Matchroom ever has. Matchroom and all the other promoters have tried to do this. They've tried to put on consistent weekly fights, but the fact that there's so many weight classes, you gotta fucking download some weird ass app, Fubo TV, to watch some of them and things like that. That just was killing the sport of boxing. And I know a lot of fans, a lot of boxing fans really hate hearing that, but it was true. I'll always say the biggest boxing fight will always be better and bigger than the biggest MMA fight. That's just true. You could get Conor McGregor versus Khabib 2 at the White House. A proper like big boxing fight that's marketed correctly will always be bigger in my opinion, just because it's been around a lot longer. It's a historic sport. Rocky, Ali, fucking Cinderella Man. There's all these different movies and media you could point to as to why boxing will always be bigger in that sense. But what MMA and UFC has done is they have standardized themselves in this modern era, which is very, very, very hard to do. Normalize themselves, mainstream themselves. And what I mean by that is the UFC has fight nights like this all the time. Strickland, Hernandez, even lower, lesser known names. But the UFC is a marketing thing here. We all know, everybody knows, a casual combat fan knows UFC Saturday. It's going to be on. UFC is on. Oh, there's a UFC card on. You look it up. There's UFC. You know it's the UFC. They kind of have a stable of fighters. Again, you don't need to recognize them, but they just have these consistent cards of fighters. A lot of boxing promotions really struggle with that. And yes, they've been doing it for a long time. For me to act like what Zuffa's doing is new to the sport, it's not. But when you combine a bunch of quote unquote no names with a bunch of belts, a bunch of different weight classes, commissions, mandatory strippings, it just becomes impossible to follow. Combine the fact you have some of the sport's biggest stars in Shakur Stevenson and Terrence Crawford, quote unquote, exposing the commissions for asking for so much money. You got Mauricio Soliman out talking shit as well. They're playing into Zuffa Boxing's hands perfectly. I mean, everything is really going their way. I really see why Dana White is saying that it's like beating up babies. I truly get it. I truly, truly get it. Oops, someone's supposed to open that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty interesting. Like I said, I just really want to see what Eddie Hearn's gonna say. Last time he was on Ariel, he started trying to stir up the pot, and Ariel actually kind of shut it down. Eddie was trying to go, oh, how do these UFC fighters? They see what Zuffa's getting, and they should be jealous. Like he was trying to stir some shit up. But what the UFC has done so well is they have these guys on a fucking leash, man. They don't care. They're not going to complain. And Eventually, they're gonna do that for Zuffa. Yeah, a lot of the talent is splintered off in all these promotions, but Zuffa really all they need to do is, yeah, pay these big paychecks that these big guys now are used to. Once you get all the big guys on your league, which you could argue they already do. They got Crawford pretty much because Crawford's quote unquote retired. He's gonna come back and fight for Zuffa or the ring again. Whatever doesn't have the sanctioning bodies in it. And Canelo is kind of with them. The ring, Zuffa, I don't really know how that works. Um, there still is room. Kind of on that note, there still is room for Zuffa to fuck this all up. It's possible that Turkey could pull out of it completely and play Dana the way he kind of played Eddie, the way he kind of played all these other guys, getting them used to these big paychecks and then stop helping out Eddie and them and start helping out Zuffa. There's a good chance if Dana White and Zuffa and them piss them off that it could get to that. But honestly, I don't think it will. They're already getting headlines on their third event. The fights relatively have been entertaining. I mean, like I said, I put them on in the background. I'm not paying too much attention. The finishes were clear mismatches, but the average fights on there are pretty solid. They're going blow for blow, and yeah, I mean that it's not too bad. Again, I mean, as an MMA fan, mostly it does get a little hard to watch boxing sometimes. Like it's a lot more interesting to watch two MMA fighters, move around like this than it is to watch two boxers move around like this. Um, but again, like I said, Zuffa, just the fact that it has the packaging and branding of UFC and everything like that, it's just gonna elevate automatically. Yeah, the UFC and marketing and all that will only carry it so far, but combine that with fighters slowly leaving the current people they're with now, they're getting sick of all these sanctioning bodies, taking parts of their purses and all that. Zuffa might just have to bite the bullet on a few of these big guys, big purses, and then all the small guys will follow. Because yeah, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, the boxers care about the legacy, they care about the history." Maybe they do, but I bet you they care about clout a lot more. I bet you they care about fame and things like that a million times more than they would, the WBC belt, the WBA belt, the fucking WBO belt, the IBC belt, the ABC belt, the WXYZ belt, all these different fucking belts. It's too much, especially in this day and age of short attention spans, TikToking, and everything like that. Uh, Zuffa they've set themselves up very good. If you like to invest, investing in TKO wouldn't be a bad idea. The White House card isn't announced yet. The government isn't fucking promoting it yet, which that's just a crazy future. We're gonna have the U.S. government promoting a UFC event. Uh, yeah, and as all that elevates, Zuffa boxing will as well. What are the odds we get a fucking Zuffa prelim or Zuffa boxing card on the White House lawn? Or I don't fucking know, but there's probably going to be one kind of paired up with that White House card, at least on that Friday or Sunday. Yeah, you don't have to like Zuffa, but the reality is Dana is right when he says it's been like beating up babies. Ever since they've come into the boxing scene, there really hasn't been anything else that much more interesting. And if they can actually get Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury done, they will be the leading boxing promotion in the United States, in my opinion. But yeah, just comment down below. What do you guys think? Do you think Zuffa's here to stay? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious they will be, especially with the team and backing, financial backing they have. It's kind of impossible for them to lose unless they really screw the pooch. Um, but yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today's episode, guys. I don't really have much to talk about. Like I said, um, I talked about Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano earlier in the episode. I talked about my picks for this main card, Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez. If you missed that, I got Zach Reese, Jacoby Smith, Ante Delija, Costa, Medique, and Sean Strickland. If you're curious why I picked who I picked, go back about like 30, 45 minutes, and you'll be able to hear all my reasoning there. Yeah, I mean, I feel like weirdly enough, it was kind of a slow news week for MMA stuff. I really thought Sean Strickland was gonna be burning shit down by now, but he's being a good boy this week. He's being a good boy this week. There's a solid chance the UFC pulled him aside, dude. Not now. Like I mean, like I said, the current politically charged climate. Uh, Sean just has to say one sentence, one phrase, or something, and suddenly this fight will be the top of the fucking number one trended on Twitter. And you know, like I said, the press conference, we still have to see that. It still might happen. But yeah, I kind of thought I'd have a lot more to talk about here. But yeah, it's a pretty solid card. I mean, it's nothing too special. The main card's good. Prelims, not so much. I'm interested in the Monkey King, Jordan Leavitt, the Goat King. You know, he was injured. He had the norovirus and a broken hand going into the Patty fight. But we're not going to let that take down the Goat King, the Monkey King, Jordan Leavitt. But yeah, guys, that's really all I have. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. Thanks for tuning in with me. Again, I want to apologize for my last show that I did last week. Again, I thought I was a badass, Billy Badass, but this motherfucker knocked me out. I was way too loopy. And yeah, now that the show's over, I could go ahead and go ham on this, which I will shortly after the stream ends. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Matt. This is the Open Matt Show. As always, we are live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. or 7:15 p.m. Depends what time I get home. But we start around then. Again, this is a call-in show. I haven't really been talking about it much, but I have a link to my Discord in the description. If you want to call in and argue with me live about some shit I'm saying, you can do that. Just click the link down below, join in, follow the rules, all that crap. And yeah, just stay tuned, guys. I've been working on a lot of stuff. I'm trying to get some other videos out, but it's a little hard to find the time, especially lately. I've been very busy with a lot of live stuff. But at a minimum, you can bank on me being live every Wednesday afternoon. I want to get more shows done. I want to do more during the week, but I need to make sure this proof of concept gets some views or something first. So yeah, like, subscribe, share with your friends. We're a very small channel. Any interaction you give, the fact if you're watching right now, all of that goes a very, very long way. It tells the algorithm that you guys like what I'm doing and it suggests it to other people. So yeah, comment down below. What do you think of my picks? What do you think about Zuffa boxing? What do you think about Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano? Do you even give a fuck? Did you know who Gina Carano was before this fight was announced? Did you ever watch Ronda Rousey fight? I know a lot of fans weren't around for that, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm not one of the guys that's gonna call you a fucking casual or whatever you're new. I think that's weird. It's a growing sport. There's new fans. But yeah, to bring in fucking 44-year-old Gina Carano, that's interesting. I'm keeping on yapping here, guys. I've been live for about an hour and a half. I need to get the fuck out of here. Follow me over on Twitter at The Open Matt Show. I tweet a lot about random combat sports shit. You'll see me in the replies of a lot of things, so you can argue with me over there. I would say some of my more interesting takes are over there. And yeah, like I said, like, subscribe, turn on notification bells. I don't know how many times I'm going to repeat myself. See you guys. Thanks for watching. I love all of you. Thank you so much for every interaction. I love talking about combat sports. I love doing this. And I would do it if nobody watched. I know there's about like maybe one or two of you watching right now. So thank you so much. It's very much appreciated. Until next week, guys. See ya.